I was in the mood to talk about floor prices of things and why price and value have nothing to do with each other, and it is most obvious within the um, alternative asset space. I know I use a bunch of big words. Alternative assets essentially refers to something that you can buy that does not itself produce profit through some kind of business activity. So a house is a alternative asset because a house is not a business. A house is a structure that you can live in. People make money off of it by leasing it, renting it to people. Where you're really just doing is taking a claim on somebody else's profit that they make by working. That's a different thing. But a house is an alternative asset. A baseball card is an alternative asset. A baseball card is not a business that produces any money. It's an asset that people find desirable and valuable, or not. And um, and that's where it derives its value from. But it does not derive its value from a mathematical calculation of, if I assume that it is going to make X percent profit per year for the next 80 years or whatever, so how much money would I pay today for some portion of that profit, right? Because stock, in the true sense, is a representation of the percentage ownership of a company. So if a company makes $100 worth of profit and you own 1% of the company, you should make $100 that year. Whereas an alternative asset is not a claim on any profit or revenue stream, because there is no profit or revenue stream. It is just the desirability of the asset in and of itself, either to own it or what it gets for you or what it gives to you, right? So a baseball card doesn't give anything to you, but you might enjoy it. An access card to something gives you something. A house gives you a place to live, etc., etc. So, and why this is important is because when people don't think about this, they end up making a lot of mistakes on how they value things and how they evaluate decisions they're going to make. And they use incorrect metrics. And the biggest metric that they use as a mistake, in my view, is the floor price, which basically means the price of the lowest price at which I can publicly buy this asset at any one period of time. Now, there's a couple reasons why a floor price really is a bad metric to look at in all cases. It's bad to look at it as far as judging what the actual value of the asset is. It's bad to look at as far as determining the value in the future. It really isn't good in a lot of ways. And let me explain why. So firstly, we have to understand that the floor price of an asset is really an indication of the financial position of the most immediately desperate holder than it is the underlying value of the asset. So, for example, let's say that I owned a, I don't know, I'm going to use a sports card. Let's say I owned a Michael Jordan rookie card graded PSA 10. And let's say they are going for $300,000 right now. Now, I own one and I am in a really bad spot. I need money. I live in the United States and I have a medical situation which is going to cost a lot of money. Or I did some kind of deal that went south and I need money. Or whatever. And I need $150,000 and you have $150,000 and you want the Michael Jordan basketball card, I may be incentivized to sell it to you for $150,000. Now, when you look at that, you might say, oh, the price of a Michael Jordan rookie card went down. It used to be $300,000 and now one just sold for $150,000. But the answer is that that's not true. Why? Because all of the new owners of the Michael Jordan rookie card, the existing ones plus this new person, would not sell it for $300,000. It's just that that price was an indication of my immediate financial desperation, but not the overall value or desirability or interest in the asset. That's number one. Number two, when we're looking at that was looking at realized sales prices and how past sales can make you think different things or not about the underlying value of an asset. Now, if I want to talk about the floor price specifically, meaning what is being offered, we have to understand that the floor price of an asset is based on a couple things. Number one, it is a wish. It's a wish from the current owner. I would like to purchase. I would like to be able to make this much money for this asset. That, if we're going to say hypothetically that an asset is worth what anybody would pay for it, which I don't think is necessarily the best way to calculate it. But even if we're going to say that, so saying that the offered price by a seller clearly violates that, because the fact that that an asset is currently for sale and not already sold shows that there is not a ready buyer at that price. And number two, especially with alternative assets, which are inherently limited in nature, you're bound by the idea that not every seller wants to sell it. For example, there are, in the VeeFriends land, there are 10 VeeFriends Series 2 with the hologram house scene. None of them are for sale right now. I know where I can get one of them for 5 digits. What do you think the value is of the thing? The answer is that it is not one simple calculation. And the reason it's not one simple calculation is because it is not a stake in the percentage of a known or at least estimatable revenue stream. It is based on the desirability of the underlying asset, which, by the way, in this case, could include access to things, right? It's not just with a baseball card where you might want to buy or sell this thing to have it, to be able to show it people, to feel like you have it, to look at it, whatever. But in the blockchain world, tokens can provide access to real world things, either events, information, people, etc. So what is it worth? It's really hard to tell because, as I mentioned, none of them are for sale. But even if one was for sale, the price that the person is selling it for is an indication of what they want for it, which could mean that if they are financially desperate, you might have the opportunity to get it at a deal based on what you might hypothetically value it as. Or if the person is not financially desperate, but they're the only ones that are willing to sell it, it is an indication of the wish of the owner. What we've just seen is that the floor price of an alternative asset is essentially a meaningless number. Have a good day.